Good evening, everybody. How are you today? It's so lovely to be with you this evening. My name is Joanna Godwin Seidl, and I am the director of Vienna Theatre Project. And with my colleague Samantha Rode, I decided, oh, that light's a bit bright. Excuse me, everybody. Sorry about that. That's live videoing for you. With my colleague Samantha Rode, we decided during the pandemic to read 1001 Arabian Nights. The lockdown is over here in Austria, but we are carrying on reading anyway, as we know that all around the world, people are needing some time and effort to go somewhere where they can just relax. So tonight I will be reading you. We are now already on the 111th night of 1001 Arabian Nights. Children, I hope you are sitting comfortably. Well, then do sit back and enjoy. Now, when it was the 111th night, Shahrazad said, "It has reached me, O auspicious king, that Taj al-Muluk, when he looked about him at the caravan, saw a handsome youth in neat attire and of shapely make, with flower-like forehead and moon-like face, save that his beauty was wasted, and yellow hues had overspread his cheeks by reason of parting from those he loved, and great was his groaning and moaning, and the tears streamed from his eyelids as he repeated these couplets. Longsome is absence, care and fear are sore, and ceaseless tears, O friend, mine eyes outpour. Yea, I farewelled my heart on parting day, and heartless, hopeless, now I bide forlorn. Pause, O my friend, with me farewelling one, whose words my cure can work, my health restore. Now, when the youth had ended his poetry, he wept a while, and fell down in a fainting fit, whilst Taj al-Muluk looked at him and wondered at his case. Then coming to himself, he stared with distracted air and versified in these couplets. Beware, her glance I read thee, 'tis like wizard white. None can escape unscathed those eye shafts' glancing flight. In very sooth, black eyes, with languorous sleeping look, pierce deeper than white swords, however they may bite. Be not thy senses by her sweets of speech beguiled, whose brooding fever shall ferment in thought and sprite. Soft, sided, fair, did silk but press upon her skin, 'twould draw red blood from it, as thou thyself canst sight. Chary, is she of charms twixt neck and anklets dwell? And what other scent shall cause me such delight? Then he sobbed a loud sob and swooned away. But when Taj al-Muluk saw him in this case, he was perplexed about his state and went up to him. And as the youth came to his senses and saw the king's son standing at his head, he sprang to his feet and kissed the ground between his hands. Taj al-Muluk asked him, Why didst thou not show thy merchandise? And he answered, O my lord, there is naught amongst my stock worthy of thine august highness. Quoth the prince, Needs must thou show me what thou hast, and acquaint me with thy circumstance, for I see thee weeping-eyed and heavy-hearted. If thou have been oppressed, we will end thine oppression, and if thou be in debt, we will pay thy debt. For of a truth, my heart burneth to see thee since I first set eyes on thee. Then Taj al-Muluk bade the seat be set, and they brought him a chair of ivory and ebony, with a network of gold and silk, and spread him a silken rug for his feet. So he sat down on the chair and, bidding the youth sit himself on the rug, said to him, "Show me thy stock in trade." The young merchant replied, "O my lord, do not name this to me, for my goods be unworthy of thee." Rejoined Taj al-Muluk, "It must be thus," and bade some of the pages fetch the goods. So they brought them in despite of him, and when he saw them, the tears streamed from his eyes, and he wept and sighed and lamented. Sobs rose in his throat, and he repeated these couplets: "By what thine eyelids show of kohl and coquetry, by what thy shape displays of lissom symmetry, by what thy liplets store of honey dew and wine, by what thy mind adorns of gracious kindly gree, to me thy sight dream visioned, O my hope exceeds the happiest escape from horriblest injury." Then the youth opened his bales and displayed his merchandise to Taj al-Muluk in detail, piece by piece, and amongst them he brought out a gown of satin brocaded with gold, worth 2,000 dinars. When he opened the gown, there fell a piece of linen from its folds, and as soon as the young merchant saw this, he caught up the piece of linen in haste and hid it under his thigh, and his reason wondered, and he began versifying: "When shall be healed of thee this heart that ever bides in woe? Than thee the Pleiad stars more chance of happy meeting show. Parting and banishment and longing pain of love, procrastinating and delay, these ills my life lay low. Nor union bids me live in joy, nor parting kills by grief, nor travel draws me nearer thee, nor nearer comest thou. Of thee no justice may be had, in thee dwells naught of ruth, nor gain of grace by side of thee, nor flight from thee I know. For love of thee all goings forth and comings back are straight on me, and I am puzzled sore to know where I shall go." Taj al-Muluk wondered with great wonder at his verse, and could not comprehend the case. But when the youth snatched up the bit of linen and placed it under thigh, he asked him, "What is that piece of linen?" "Oh, my lord," answered the merchant, "thou hast no concern with this piece." Quoth the king's son, "Show it to me." And quoth the merchant, "O my lord, I refuse to show thee my goods on account of this piece of linen, for I cannot let thee look upon it." And Shahrazad perceived the dawn of day and ceased to say her permitted say. And I am going to go straight into the 12th night, which includes the tale of Aziz and Aziza. Let me just take a quick sip of my tea, ladies and gents. I hope you're all still sitting comfortably. Now, when it was the 12th night, Shahrazad said, "It hath reached me, O auspicious king, that the young merchant said to Taj al-Muluk, I did not refuse to show thee my goods, save on this account, for I cannot let thee look upon it." Whereupon Taj al-Muluk retorted, "Perforce I must, and I will see it," and insisted and became angry. So the youth drew it out from under his thigh and wept and moaned and redoubled his sighs and groans and repeated these verses. Now blame him not, for blame brings only irk and pain. Indeed, I spake him sooth, but ne'er his ear could gain. May Allah guide my moon which riseth in the vale, beside our camp, from loosed robe like skiey plain. I left him, but had love vouchsafed to leave for me some peace in life, such leave of him I ne'er had taken. How long he pleaded for my sake on parting morn, while down his cheeks and mine tears ran in railing rain. Allah, belie me not the garb of mine excuse, this parting rent, but I will mend this garb again. No couch is easy to my side, nor on such wise or easeth him, when all alone without me lain. Time with ill-omened hand hath wrought between us two, and made my waxing joys to wane and his to wane, and poured mere grief and woe what time fain had crowned. The bowl he made me drink, and gave for him to drain. When he ended his recitation, quoth Taj al-Muluk, I see thy conduct without consequence. Tell me, then, why weepest thou at the sight of this rag? When the young merchant heard speak of the piece of linen, he sighed and answered, O my lord, my stories are strange, and my case out of range, with regard to the piece of linen, and to her from whom I brought it, and to her who wrought on these figures and emblems. Hereupon he spread out the piece of linen, and behold, thereon was the figure of a gazelle, wrought in silk and worked with red gold, and facing it was another gazelle, traced in silver, with a neck ring of red gold and 3 bugles of chrysolite upon the ring. When Taj al-Muluk saw the beauty of these figures, he exclaimed, Glory be to Allah, who teacheth man that which he knoweth not. And his heart yearned to hear the youth's story. So he said to him, Tell me thy story with her who owned these gazelles. Replied the young man, Hear, O my lord, the tale of Aziz and Azizah. My father was a wealthy merchant, and Allah had vouchsafed him no other child than myself. But I had a cousin, Azizah hight, daughter of my paternal uncle, and we twain were brought up in one house. For her father was dead, and before his death he had agreed with my father that I should marry her. So when I reached man's estate and she reached womanhood, they did not separate her from me or me from her, till at last my father spoke to my mother and said, This very year we will draw up the contract of marriage between Aziz and Azizah. So, having agreed upon this, he betook himself to preparing provision for the wedding feast. Still, we ceased not to sleep on the same carpet, knowing naught of the case, albeit she was more thoughtful, more intelligent, and quicker-witted than I. Now, when my father had made an end of his preparations, and naught remained for him but to write out the contract, and for me but to consummate the marriage with my cousin, he appointed the wedding for a certain Friday, after public prayers. And going round to his intimates among the merchants and others, he acquainted them with that, whilst my mother went forth and invited her women friends, and summoned her kith and kin. When the Friday came, they cleaned the saloon and prepared for the guests and washed the marble floor. when they spread tapestry about our house and set out thereon what was needful, after they had hung its walls with cloth of gold. Now, the folk had agreed to come to us after the Friday prayers. So my father went out and bade them make sweetmeats and sugared dishes, and there remained nothing to do but to draw up the contract. Then my mother sent me to the bath and sent after me a suit of new clothes of the richest, and when I came out of the hammam, I donned these habits which were so perfumed that I went along there exhaled from them that was so perfumed that as I went along there exhaled from them a delicious fragrance, scenting the wayside. I had designed to repair to Cathedral Mosque, when I bethought me of one of my friends and returned in quest of him, that he might be present at the writing of the contract. And quoth I to myself, this matter will occupy me till the near time of congregational prayer. So I went on and entered a by-street, which I had never before entered, perspiring profusely from the effects of the bath and the new clothes on my body. And the sweat streamed down while the scents of my dress wafted abroad, and I therefore sat me at the upper end of the street, and resting on a stone bench, after spreading under me an embroidered kerchief I had with me. The heat oppressed me more and more, making my forehead perspire, and the drops trickled down my cheeks. But I could not wipe my face with my kerchief, because it was dispread under me. I was about to take the skirt of my robe and wipe my cheek with it, when unexpectedly there fell on me from above a white kerchief, softer to the touch than the morning breeze, and pleasanter to the sight than healing to the diseased. I hent it in hand and raised my head to see whence it had fallen, when my eyes met the eyes of the lady who owned these gazelles. And Scheherazade perceived the dawn of day and ceased saying her permitted say. Ladies and gentlemen, it was short and sweet this evening. I won't take up your time much longer. I also have lots of things to do still tonight. So I hope very much that you enjoyed this evening's read. It's exciting to find out what happens to this lady with the gazelles. I have a feeling it's going to be a little bit traumatic because he's been weeping and wailing and weeping and wailing for quite a while now, this young man. So, my dear friends, it was an absolute pleasure reading for you again. I wish you many blessings and many salams. And without further ado this evening, I am going to wish you a very, very beautiful and good night. Bye-bye, everybody. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.